The Buffalo Bills are coming off the bye week, but I would contend, considering the state of the AFC, they should be feeling better about themselves more so than ever. Stevie Johnson, are you with me?
I'm with you 100%. The Bills are sitting pretty, and they done played in every type of game that you can imagine. So looking forward to the rest of the season, the second half, and seeing a healthy team and seeing what else to come.
Chiefs squeak by Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Things trending in a positive direction for Buffalo in spite of not actually being in action in Week 12.
The great Kansas City Chiefs, to me, look vulnerable. And that's a good sign if you're a Bills fan.
Welcome into Broken Table. Ahead of Week 13, Bills, Niners, Korolnek, Sanchez, Hein, and Stevie Johnson. We're looking ahead to the rest of the regular season, Chris. What is your number one Bills storyline going forward?
To me, it's got to be health. You talked about how the Chiefs looked a little vulnerable, and we already saw that the Bills could beat the Chiefs, not handily, but they had a comfortable win, and that was without no Spencer Brown, no Dalton Kincaid, no Keon Coleman, and maybe most important of all, no Matt Milano. When all of these guys are back, what does this Bills team look like? And the more games are played, everybody else just looks really flawed. And we haven't really seen the Bills look flawed since the Ravens game. So to me, it's health.
Even to add to that, the things that we thought might be flaws aren't really proven to be flaws. So even more positive.
30-plus points in 5 straight games. I don't really see how you could possibly question the Bills offensively. We'll talk about Josh Allen in the rest of the regular season, what he could be pursuing as far as MVP. Stevie, when this question's posed to you about storylines, burning questions ahead for Buffalo, what comes to mind first?
Yeah, I thought about a lot of things, but the main, I'm with Chris, like a healthy team. We still haven't seen a healthy Buffalo Bills team, yet they're sitting atop the division, looking like one of the best teams in the league overall, just dethroned the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs team. I can only imagine what this team will look like when they're at full strength. So I'm with Chris on this one. I'm looking forward to a healthy team.
For me, it's the pursuit of the most valuable player for Josh Allen.
And pursuit, it's over.
It's not over.
It's not over.
There are 2 Bills in the Super Bowl era of one NFL MVP. It was Thurman Thomas in 91, O.J. Simpson in 73. So for Allen to join that company as the first quarterback to do so would be something special. I know you watched Saquon Barkley on Sunday night against the Rams.
Funnily enough, last week, Stevie mentioned it. Stevie mentioned Saquon, and I'm kind of like, he's not really up there. He's up to plus 650 right now.
Yeah,
so Stevie, Stevie ahead of the time.
I just would love to see Allen win that award, and what it means for the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. The answer is nothing. But at the same time, it would be a well-deserved recognition for a guy who frankly deserves the award. And Lamar will be there, Saquon will be there, Jared Goff perhaps, maybe Patrick Mahomes, Davis. But for Allen to win it, I think is a really intriguing storyline down the stretch.
You break this down to in its most basic form. Who's the most valuable player in the NFL? Like, if we just forget about the numbers, the odds, whatever we look at, Josh Allen's the most valuable player in the NFL this season. There's no question.
Mm-hmm. And I do wonder, with Kansas City winning again, the one loss against the Bills, let's say they go 16-1. Is that enough for Mahomes to get in to the mix? You think there's nothing? You think there's nothing that Mahomes can do?
Mahomes has no shot. He shouldn't.
The numbers are just too bad. He's thrown too many interceptions. And look, he looked great against Carolina, but the way the Chiefs are playing right now, do you really think they're going to finish 16-1? And
no.
That's another intriguing, burning question to me is, can the Bills chase KC for that 1 seed? And if you bring up the schedule, I know we looked at it before and it was like, Chiefs got it pretty easy. But if you're struggling to beat Carolina, now that game at Pittsburgh looks a lot tougher. Against the Broncos, Week 18 seems a lot tougher.
Houston as well, they have on their schedule.
But it's not like Houston really is impressing anybody either. So I think the Bills can realistically get that 1 seed. And if they get the 1 seed and Allen has those numbers, it's inevitable. There's no chance. Nobody else gets MVP. It's Josh's.
Stevie, Allen for MVP or the chase for the 1 seed? What's more intriguing to you?
Definitely that 1 seed to me. Going into the playoffs, having it with the Bills Mafia at your back, I think that's the most powerful thing that you can have going into a playoff atmosphere. And we've seen what going to Arrowhead was like. We can beat them there. The Bills can beat any team anywhere, I believe. But just having that home field advantage is just as special as Josh winning an MVP. Bringing a dub to the playoffs in Orchard Park. I mean, that's going to be something special. And then going on to, hopefully New Orleans.
A really fascinating game coming up on Sunday for the Bills, hosting the Niners, who are coming off a brutal loss to Green Bay, getting throttled by the Packers. This is a team that's under 500. Brock Purdy's dealing with a shoulder problem. Brandon Ayuk's gone. They've got injuries on both sides of the ball. This could be a desperate San Fran team on Sunday night. If the Bills want to win that number 1 seed, they're going to have to overcome some obstacles, and they'll be favored in that game probably by a big number. Will Buffalo be?
The spread, we have a spread -6.5 right now.
-6.5. I think that's totally fair.
Does that indicate that Purdy's playing or no? I would say it indicates he's probably not. But and it's not just Purdy, right? Trent Williams.
The 6.5 definitely indicates he's not playing. Yeah.
But really, though, if he's playing in Buffalo, isn't that? I think
this team's not that good anymore.
Yeah.
Frankly, they're too banged up on both sides of the ball, and I understand the pedigree. McCaffrey hasn't looked the same. I love the Bills in this spot. Maybe you can toss him in a tease, Davis.
I'm with you though. I don't think he's going to play Bosa. It's still too early. Look, it's Monday.
Yep.
We still don't know about Bosa. We still don't know about Trent Williams. But like 3 of the 4 most important players for that team. So if those guys are out again, then I think it's a wrap.
So let me ask this question: Are there 4 better teams? And if healthy, let's say 3 weeks from now, the Niners get a little bit healthier. Are there 4? I say there's 3 teams in the NFC that are better than the Niners. There's that. That's it.
But
that's it. 3 teams.
And
if
I
they're
would,
healthy.
on paper, I 100% agree with you. But at what point does it reach when it's like, you know what?
By the way, they're not making the playoffs. To be clear, there's 3 teams. That's
they
my
need to
point.
win. They need to win Sunday.
They're
that's
not.
for sure.
They're done.
And
they're 14%, but yeah.
Maybe you and Stevie can talk to this because you've gone to the mountain so many times and you've just fallen short. I think this window, we're looking at like 5 years now of steady NFC Championship game or Super Bowl appearances. At what point does it just sort of fall off the cliff, even if it's just for a year before you need to reinvent yourself? Because this team, it seems like all year we've been waiting for them to flip a switch, and that switch just isn't flipping.
Yeah, I say the writing's on the wall. So like this is the year to start thinking about that rebuilding or making some big moves. I got a couple suggestions. If maybe bringing in a Rodgers. This is something wild. They've done wilder things though. They've given away 3 first-rounders to the Miami Dolphins just to make our Bills' lives miserable. Yet we've overcame though. But I'm just saying from a Niners perspective, if they want to stay at this upper echelon, I think they got to make some big moves, and maybe Purdy's one of those guys, and even Debo, and that can bring pieces in and keep them there. But I'm with Davis. That window's closed. I think that it's closing this season.
And you have to also factor in the reality that they need to pay Brock Purdy if he's going to be their quarterback. He's still earning the salary of the last pick in the NFL draft, and what he's making is 55, 60, 65 million. That changes the composition of your roster in a major way. This is the closing of the window for San Francisco. So and I guarantee you all the players know that. I know Kyle Shanahan knows that. The Bills are going to be in tough on Sunday. And I know the spread's big, and maybe Brock Purdy plays. Maybe it's Brandon Allen again, Davis. But this is a team that's going to be desperate because their season is on the line. And sometimes when you play that type of game, something can work out for you. And that's what San Fran's hoping that the case is.
I definitely, if you look around the NFC, the rest of the teams, especially the top, the Vikings, the Lions, Minnesota,
Philly's right there in that class.
Philly, Vikings, the Lions, those teams right now. How happy are they that the Niners are not likely not going to get in? Because like I said, if the Niners get in the playoffs, they would be dangerous.
Oh, everybody's sprinkling. If they're a 7 seed,
Absolutely.
Everyone's going to bet them to win the NFC.
Like I said, I'll pose this question: if they're healthy and they made the playoffs, is there 3 teams? Is there 4 teams?
Detroit and Philly were the only teams that I would potentially
and maybe
take.
Minnesota.
I wouldn't, just because we've seen how Darnold can look in some shaky spots.
I'd say Green Bay as well. I mean, we saw that playoff
still
game.
Too sloppy.
Maybe, but I think that San Fran, considering where those 2 teams are today versus where they were in the playoff game last year, Green Bay, I think, is on the ascent, while clearly San Fran is on the decline. At worst, it's a pick-em game between the 2.
Well, I kind of want to go back to Stevie's scorching hot take
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Because, and we'll get to Rodgers later, but Davis, I know you've been vocal before about Brock Purdy and how he's kind of propped up by the talent around him. Would you be comfortable paying someone like Purdy $60 million a year, or would you want to make a splash move like that? Because like Rodgers, you can probably get for like a 4th or 5th round pick. I would
He'll
guess.
pay you to play for
Yes,
him.
like would you? It's more so not necessarily the Rodgers question, but would you feel comfortable paying Brock Purdy $60 million a year next year?
With this team, no. If I had that Super Bowl a few years back type of team around him, healthy, then yeah, he can manage a game. I'm not against Purdy. I just think with this team and at the point that they're in, they need more pieces to stay at the level that they want to be. You've seen everybody saying, when Christian McCaffrey come back, and then CMC came back and they still took that loss. So it's like, you need more than just one piece. And in this game, you gotta make moves. And they've been known to make moves in the past, like I brought up before, with those 3 draft picks that they gave up. So it's not out the norm. And then how I go when a person's on the end of their career, they want to play at home. And Rodgers is came from Cal, and I think that'd be something good to uplift this team and to turn up CMC. That's just my 2 cents on it. I don't want to go too extensive.
Yeah, and I will say this: if the narrative is that I've been down on Brock Purdy.
You're a hater. You're a Brock Purdy hater. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever hear what I actually say about Brock Purdy, what I say about him is he's a solid starting quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's been pretty good for them. Now, your question about would I pay him $60 million, I will ask the question back: is that the price for a solid starting quarterback, a good quarterback, or is that the price for an elite quarterback?
Well, if you look at Trevor Lawrence, it's the price for a solid starting
Dak
quarterback.
Prescott?
Then I would pay Brock Purdy $60 million.
Yeah.
If I'm only paying the top 5 guys in the NFL $60 million, then Brock Purdy's not getting it.
The way those QB contracts tend to be going is, are you the best? No. Are you the next to get paid?
Yes.
Right. And that's just what it is.
It's next man up. Who's signing for $250,000 more than the last guy signed for? And that's exactly what I think Brock Purdy is going to do. Can we go back to Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, please.
And the idea that he could come home to San Francisco and quarterback the Niners. Now, I appreciate a hot take, Stevie, more so than anyone. My question is, let's say the Niners do stick with Brock Purdy, which I think is the most likely outcome. And let's say the Jets have no interest. They want to wash their hands of Aaron Rodgers. Is there another team in the NFL, Davis, that signs Rodgers and puts him under center for week 1 next year?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely they will. I mean, there's teams that see the talent in Rodgers and think he's been managed wrong. I mean, shoot, Jerry Jones has a quarterback, but if he didn't, he would do it in a second.
But he does. So where's the landing spot for Rodgers?
I had to go through the list of the teams, but there's got. I mean, look at Mike Tomlin this year, who went and signed.
That's actually interesting. Pittsburgh is actually very
The
interesting.
guy's 41, man.
I know. I kind of think he's cooked, and I think it would need to be the absolutely perfect situation. And a Mike Tomlin in a Pittsburgh situation is the only really thing that I could see working, just because he's been able to extract greatness out of such a subpar quarterback situation this year.
It has to be someone that's alpha. Yeah. It has to be someone that's alpha.
I'm thinking somewhere in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah. Those old bones, they need the warm weather.
Let's transition to the rest of the league, because we had a wild week 12. And what stood out to me is, like, we got a lot of teams on fraud watch. Commanders, frauds. Texans, frauds. I am not stupid enough to be on camera and say the Kansas City Chiefs are frauds, but you have to be a little concerned about the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is 19-27-2 against the spread as a favorite of 7 or more. That ranks 113th of 114 quarterbacks over the last 20 years.
I believe the Chiefs are double-digit favorites again against the Raiders on Friday. All right, I'll make that mental note.
Are we concerned about the Chiefs?
I'm not concerned about the Chiefs. This is their natural form. Close games. Doesn't matter the team. Props to Bryce Young. He's been going through that evolution phase. And, good job by him bringing that power to them. But, that was the confidence that they got from watching the Buffalo Bills the previous week, and they just didn't finish. And the Kansas City Chiefs did, like they always do. So I'm not even concerned. I just feel like that's the same Kansas City Chiefs team that we've been seeing for multiple years. Close games, coming back, get the ball in his hands, and he win the game.
It's funny because you mentioned the concept of climbing the mountain again with San Fran year after year. Maybe this is the year it all falls apart. I think with the Chiefs, they've climbed the mountain so many times. They have some of their big dogs in the garage just waiting to be cracked out, like a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, like Travis Kelce come playoff time. They're not utilizing him like they might come the postseason. And I almost wonder, like, are they holding things back knowing they are now 10-1? or do they really want to show all of their cards before the postseason? Because sure, they might not be what they once were. They still have Mahomes. They still have Reed. They have Kelsey. They have Hopkins. They have a great defense. They're as good as anybody. I would never use the F word, either on this fine podcast, Broken Table, that word being fraud with regards to the Kansas City Chiefs, because if you've said it in the past, you look like an idiot, and the last thing I want to look like is an idiot, Davis.
I disagree with your take on what they're doing now. I actually think they need to be using Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins and trying to get these. That was my biggest concern from Sunday's game, was that there was too much Travis Kelce. I agree. That's something they should pull out playoff time and be going to Kelce when they need to. Right now,
It's the old Gronk mentality.
Exactly.
In New England.
And that's concerning against Carolina. Is if you look at the first half of that game, it was Patrick Mahomes running for his life and going to Kelce. Well, where are these guys? That's a game against Carolina that you need to use. Get D-Hop going. Get Xavier Worthy going. By the way, I agree with you. You said it last week. Keon Coleman is a better receiver in the NFL right now than Xavier Worthy is. It is what it is. Xavier Worthy's got talent and a ceiling. Another thing you said last week, just in case you don't think I watch every single episode.
This man was at the Grey Cup, deep in CFL, but still finds time.
I don't miss an episode of Broken Tables. If I'm on it, I watch it 5 times. If I'm not on it, I watch it 3 times. But you said about third down, about the Chiefs and how great Mahomes was on third downs. You know why he's so good on third down? Because they stink on first and second down. I think they're second or third worst in the NFL on first and second down efficiency. Stevie, how can you tell me that you're not concerned with a team that their very best player, they're at the bottom of the NFL in first and second down efficiency? That's scary as heck to me.
Man, I feel you. I feel you on that, Chaz. We gotta calm him down. No, look, this is what they do. So am I concerned? And I feel like I understand what you're saying. They tried to go to D-Hop, but then when they seen that these Panthers won Cubs, they was actually adult Panthers. They had to go to their money, and I think they're showing their cards. They have to go to Kelsey. And what did the Buffalo Bills do? They shut that down, and they only scored 20, 21 points. So we've seen all their cards, but I'm not concerned with the rest of the season because, they go manage it, they go win, they go get to where they need to be. But in the playoffs, if we was to see the Chiefs, I'm still 100% confident. The only team that I am concerned about is the Baltimore Ravens because they punished us. Now, that's the only team I'm concerned with.
Yeah, and the Chiefs, with Isaiah Pacheco, who will eventually return, their run game is a concern. It's not going to be like Baltimore with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And I guess with Matt Milano's return on the horizon for the Bills, he'll be a big part of the run stopping for Buffalo and ideally slowing down Henry and Jackson in that capacity. But is it Baltimore now is the biggest threat for the Bills in the AFC for you?
I still think it's the Chiefs, but when it comes to KC, I feel like no one's talking about the defense. Yeah. Everyone is why did the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year? They sort of changed the way they play, and their defense was good, and they had 2 elite corners who shut everything down. Well, you lose one of those guys, and now the defense, I think, as I heard a stat yesterday, Carolina scored on 75% of their drives. And that's Carolina. Like, that, I think it only happened 3 times in the Andy Reid era. So if this defense, we saw the Bills too. The Bills snapped that streak of no one had scored more than 28 on Bills put up 30. If the Chiefs defense is taking a bit of a step back, then their offense needs to go back to the explosiveness, what they were pre-last season. And I don't know if their offense can get there with the lack of weapons.
Yeah, the offensive line looks like a concern for Kansas City as
5
well.
sacks yesterday.
Mahomes was just running around for his life. It looked like that Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl where all those guys were just swarming Mahomes at all points in time.
You nailed it. That's the biggest concern. You're right. It's that offensive line.
Carolina had 12 sacks going into yesterday, and then they had 5 in yesterday's game.
That's a concerning number for
So it sounds like everybody's concerned except for Stevie. Stevie's got faith in the Chiefs, and honestly, given their resume, they're right. Chiefs social media might take all these clips of us making fun of them and then replay this when they win the Super Bowl again.
Which would be cool if that happens. We would appreciate that.
Good
Kansas
for the pod.
City Chiefs social media.
To your question though about the Ravens, I think tonight will be very telling. And what better way to transition to that than to go to the Streeters same game parlay? Play action? No. That guy didn't like that. Oh, here we go. Oh, Terrible pass, man. We are on the streets of Toronto doing a little same-game parlay for Monday Night Football. It's the Har Bowl. Same-game parlay for Ravens-Chargers tonight. Let's just start with the game. Who do you like?
For me, I don't really know those two teams. Like a Canadian team?
No, NFL. Bike guy, football fan? Football fan? No? All right. We are doing a little same-game parlay. It's the Har Bowl tonight. Ravens and Chargers. Let's start with the game. Who you got?
Yeah, Ravens.
Ravens? How come?
Ravens. East Coast, Maryland, Baltimore. Love everything about the Ravens.
Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Passing yards. Do you think he's going over or under?
Over.
What about his rushing yards? One of the best running quarterbacks, too.
Yeah, he's super athletic. Yeah.
So we're going over there. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. We got Ravens to win. We got Lamar over passing yards, Lamar over rushing yards. How you feeling about this?
I like it. I'll take that bet.
Yeah, same thing. We are going to make a little same-game parlay on FanDuel.
Okay.
It's Ravens and Chargers tonight, the Har Bowl. First, let's start with the game. Who do you like?
I'm gonna go Chargers.
Well, how come the Chargers?
Harbaugh's just been able to utilize his feet and his arm strength and just let him, like he says, be a beast. So, yeah, that's why.
I thought I was just getting a random crew of fellas walking down the street, but you're a legit football fan.
Yeah. My brother's a Chargers fan also.
Oh,
so.
who's your team?
I'm Vikings. So we're
Okay,
fantastic.
whatever. Things are okay. Okay. So anything else on here that stands out for tonight's game?
Dobbins rushing receiving the over.
How come? As someone who's already bet Dobbins over today, how come?
Dobbins just been an animal this year. The O-line's been great. He's been able to find holes.
Now, do we want Dobbins to score? You like that anytime touchdown or what?
I do like that anytime touchdown. Maybe Quentin Johnson a little bit more, but Dobbins anytime touchdown is good.
Okay, so let's go make that bet on FanDuel. Best of luck, man.
Thank you.
There's a little wind. Oh, there we go.
Monday Night Football tonight. I'm so excited for this game. The Chargers hosting the Ravens. Baltimore's a 2.5-point road favorite in this one. And you have the Harbaugh Bowl. You've got two legit AFC contenders in this one. A lot of people aren't necessarily buying what the Chargers are selling to this point, Davis. How about you?
I mean, I think the Ravens are a better team right now. I have more trust in the Ravens. I love my Bolts. They have a shot in the AFC. If I have to pick one, two teams, the two teams right now, who's a better team? I like the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is just is special right now. So I like the Ravens tonight.
How about you?
Honestly, I like this Chargers team a lot. I think today would be the perfect opportunity to make a statement in prime time that we belong and we deserve to be mentioned among those elite teams in the AFC. Harbaugh, everything he's done, perfect fit for this team. They're playing with the physicality and toughness. They're everything anti-Chargers. Sorry, I know as a former Charger, that's the rep that they have. Yeah. These are the anti-Chargers, and Harbaugh has instilled that in them. And when you have someone like Herbert can go to those elite levels when you need it. As for tonight, I don't know. I don't trust a side either way on this because Baltimore, it depends which Ravens team are we getting. So I think I'm just looking forward to a good game. When we get to our best bet a little later, you'll see that it'll be a prop for me. But I don't know. I'm excited for the Har Bowl. I can't wait to watch tonight.
The Har Bowl. I like that. I've been calling it the Harbaugh Bowl all week, but you've shortened it.
Yes.
Very millennial of you, Chris. Stevie, where do you stand on Chargers Ravens tonight?
Yeah, very small. I love it, Chris, with the Har Bowl. So it's going to be a very interesting game with the Chargers defense playing as well as they have. The last game, I was a little bit hesitant with how the sense of urgency in that defense and going up against a Baltimore Ravens team that lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a close game in the division. Now they're going to LA in the prime time. I think they're just gonna explode on the scene and just to be a little bit too much to handle for the Bolts. And I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, this is the situation for the Chargers. It's like almost their NFL bar mitzvah where you become a man in the Jewish religion, right? And if they were to beat the big boys of the Baltimore Ravens, they would take another step up and, in my personal opinion, elevate themselves to one of the top teams in the AFC. And I totally understand why people are looking at the Chargers. They haven't exactly beaten the most difficult array of opponents this year, but the Ravens on Monday night is a legit test, and I think they're more than capable of doing it. Their defense is as good as anybody in the NFL, the Chargers. This is a Herbert game for me. Is he able to sling it to guys like Palmer and Johnston and, of course, my guy, Ladd McConkey, who we'll get to a little bit later? If Herbert has a big game, I think they could absolutely beat the Baltimore Ravens. And the way that the Ravens secondaries look this year, wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the case.
Let me add this. I think I agree with both you guys. This is a propel game. If the Chargers can win this, now all of a sudden to your point, Chris, they're in that conversation with everyone else. Right now, their record has them there, but no one talks about them there. I think this Charger, here's what scares me, and I can't wait to see tonight. This is going to be a great game. But the Chargers defense is playing amongst the best in the league, but are they amongst the best in the league? When I look at their roster, defensively, I don't know if they are, but they're going to find out tonight.
And this Ravens offense can put up points and yards on everybody.
Yes.
Like they can definitely go for like 40 tonight, regardless of what the Chargers have done defensively before. To your point, though, about Herbert, I think Herbert could very easily have a monster game, and it might not mean anything because everybody passes on the Ravens, other than the Bills. Everybody's been able to pass on the Ravens. So, I don't know. I think that's a perfect time, though, to transition to our best bet because, for me, this is all about Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith has not practiced all week. He is questionable. At the time we're taping this, and you know what? If this is dated in an hour, I'm really sorry. But Roquan Smith's out. I'm going with J.K. Dobbins, whose line right now is 47.5 rushing. He has hit this in 5 of his last 6 games. And let's just go to the eye test from that Pittsburgh game. As soon as Roquan went out, it seemed like Najee had a lot more space, and really his game really opened up once Roquan Smith went out. So I'm banking on no practice all week. Roquan sits.
My best bet is Monday Night McConkey. Lad McConkey, my guy, over 64.5 receiving yards. You mentioned it. There is no team in the NFL that has allowed more yards through the air than the Baltimore Ravens. McConkey is emerging here, and he was a top pick in the draft. A lot of people looked at him as a future number 1 for the Chargers, and he's really kind of fulfilling that prophecy as the second half of the season comes along. I think Monday Night McConkey is very much in play.
McConkey Mondays. McConkey Mondays.
See, I really should have went with McConkey Mondays instead of Monday Night McConkey. Now I regret it. What do you got, Davis?
I'm going with the under. Like this. Look, these two guys, the Harbaugh family, their dad, these two brothers, you think either of them are going to pivot off of their identity of being smash mouth, run the ball? Neither one of them are going to pivot off that. This game's going under. I actually, is my favorite play of the week is the under this game.
Stevie?
Hey, that's wild. Yeah, I usually like to ride with my dog, but I'm going to go with the over. I feel like I think it's going to be a show. You know, Baltimore going to take it. And it's going to be a show. Offense, the Bolts offense is going to light it up. But then Lamar Jackson, you go see why he was a Heisman in college. You see why he's 2-time MVP tonight. You know, and it's going to be something exciting. So, especially after hearing these best bets, now I'm looking forward to Monday Night McConkey, SEC brother.
Exactly.
And seeing if it's an over.
I like maybe a little side bet. Maybe you could send Stevie a Montreal Alouettes hoodie, and Stevie sends you a Buffalo Bills hoodie, depending on how it goes.
Hey, that sounds good.
I liked it. What I was thinking is, if I say, Stevie, why don't you watch the film? Because if you look at the history of us, about me and you, stay in your lane, Stevie. Gambling is my lane. Sports betting is my lane. If we were to line up one-on-one, receiver versus DB, the film won't tell a lie. You'll probably light me up because you were just a better player than me. When it comes to sports betting, Stevie, I'm better than you, so stay in your lane.
Now, this is contrary to what our best bet standings would say on the year. With Stevie at the top.
Maybe he's better than that too.
Everybody else pick.
I think, Ches, you've had some bad breaks with your bad beats with the broken table betting. And honestly, I'm just sad for the viewers because we've hit 2 parlays in a row. And now you can't make this a parlay because we contradict ourselves.
That's
so this is just make everything a solo.
Or you package Roquan Smith, or you package Dobbins.
We're doing round robins?
And round robins, or maybe you go, McConkey, Dobbins, and the under, McConkey, Dobbins, and the over.
There we go.
Takia's loving the round robins right now, by the way. So maybe we do a Takia round robin here.
Now, we're at this is a rare week where we can also kind of look ahead to Thanksgiving. And we have a trio of games. It's not really the best slate, but the big one, and this goes coming off of yesterday, Malik Neighbors, who just sounded off completely. Let's listen to that sound and then react.
Go out there first, second quarter, don't get the ball, start getting targets at the end. I mean, can't do nothing. Start getting the ball when it's 30-0. What you want me to do?
Why in the first half are they not looking at you?
I don't know. Talk to Dave about that. Talk to Dave.
Did you say something to the coaches at halftime?
I mean, they know. They come up to me, ask me what plays I want. That was that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about it.
Malik, did you expect the quarterback change to provide more of a spark than it did?
I mean, obviously, it ain't the quarterback. Same outcome when we had DJ at quarterback. I mean, take a look. Take a look. It ain't the quarterback.
So what do you think?
What is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Everybody know better than me.
Is it the play calling?
We'll take 3 more.
I don't know. I gotta say, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I know I'm tired of losing.
Hey, I love it. Hey, what do you expect me to do? We down 30-0. You ain't gave me the ball in the first and second quarter. Like, come on. Like, look, I feel them. I've been through this plenty of times. But you know, when you get all these questions at the end of the game about, hey, why weren't you able to do this or this, or makes it seem as if you're not doing enough. But when you look back at the numbers and it's like, how many times was I targeted in the first quarter, the first and second quarter, in those big downs and big situations? You know, then they pad the stats later on just to try to keep you chill, and they expect you to answer the questions appropriately. You know, and in this day and age, you know, people were being more honest. And I'm not saying that he's saying throwing a head coach or throwing a offensive coordinator under the bus as far as they should be fired or anything. He's just saying, hey, look at the numbers. I mean, I can do more if I get the ball early. The game can be closer, you know, if I get the ball early. That's it. That's where I'm at with Neighbors, and I feel him on it. I'm with him 100%.
Yeah, Neighbors goes from LSU with the Heisman Trophy winner and Jaden Daniels to that stiff Daniel Jones who's off the team, and this guy Tommy DeVito, who's better known for Italian hand gestures and cutlets than actual quarterbacking. I would be pissed off if I was Neighbors as well. And the fact that they aren't even throwing him the ball, the game is over by the time he gets targeted. I would be irate because we saw it in the early part of the season. When the Giants had the very small amount of success that they did, it was because they were throwing the ball to Neighbors 15, 20 times a game, and he was amongst the best players in the league. Now you're waiting till the game's over to give your best player by a mile the looks. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And I mean, Stevie, I'm not sure I necessarily agree. I think he absolutely was throwing his offensive coordinator under the bus. When you say, hey, if you don't throw to me, what are you expecting to happen? And I think
he said ask Dabes at one point.
ask
So I feel like
Dabes.
he's for sure calling Dable out.
And there's reports that Dayball, I mean, what the ownership has said, we're going to bring him back. I am very skeptical that anybody in New York is coming back. The Jets, we know they've already cleaned out. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants cleaned out their coaching and management group as well.
Here's and let's earmark this for next September, when Joe Brady is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Brian Daboll is back as the OC of the Buffalo Bills, because I think Daboll's going to be gone. It's not really his fault though. He's not the one who paid Daniel Jones $160 million over 4 years. And to be a good GM, you have to know what you have. If you don't know what your own team is, then how are you supposed to evaluate other people? And that shows me he did not know how to evaluate his own team when you gave that contract to Daniel Jones.
I know teams are contractually obligated to do hard knocks, but some of those clips that we see come up with Joe Shane, the GM of the Giants, trying to trade up for Drake May, the ownership talking about, if Saquon is in Philly, I don't know how I'm going to sleep. And then Saquon's ripping off 70-yard tutties, carry after carry. It's just a bad look, man.
We can't afford Saquon, yet you can pay Drew Lock, but then when it's time for Drew Lock to play, you don't even play Drew Lock and you play Tommy DeVito. So
I don't know what happened there.
It makes no sense. Don't pay Drew Lock and then you have the money to pay Saquon.
$5 million for Drew Lock. Yeah.
It's full on tank for the Giants. By the way, they're going to get smashed by Dallas this week.
Davis, when you hear Neighbors say that, what do you think?
I mean, that's Malik Neighbors. If you've watched Malik at any time in his career, that's who he is. He's going to say stuff. He's going to be. That's why I thought this was going to be a disaster from day one. And I'll add this, Dabes, earmark this one. If Brian Daboll gets fired from the Giants, he'll be a head coach somewhere in the NFL next year.
You think the next year?
Absolutely. Everyone in the league speaks highly and thinks highly of Brian Daboll. I don't think if they get rid of him, there's too many bad coaches and bad teams right now. I think somebody will scoop him up and he'll have a job in September.
You think Sean McDermott would welcome Brian Daboll onto his staff?
Absolutely.
I know they butted heads before, but I think 100%.
Well, again, I think if I'm McDermott, I'm like, okay, the guy in waiting is now my OC. I don't know how comfortable I am with that.
It's just, and this is we are only speculating because I think Joe Brady's going to be a head coach. The way this year has gone with Joe Brady, I think he's a head coach next year, and that's the only reason If Joe Brady's not head coach, yeah, this isn't even a question. Joe Brady's back and everybody's happy.
Coaches next year are interesting. I mean, you still have Belichick and Vrabel. Ben Johnson from the Lions has to be head coach next year, right? You would think. And there's other strong offensive minds around the league, including Brian Daboll potentially as well. I think the coaching carousel, as Schefter mentioned, he thinks as many as 9 guys could be out of their roles. So the carousel very much in play when it comes to NFL
here's my
head coaches.
question for Thanksgiving. If the Cowboys don't do the funniest thing ever and sign Daniel Jones, is Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito the worst quarterback matchup we've ever seen on a Thanksgiving?
It's got to be up there. Anything come to mind for you, Stevie?
Yeah, quite possibly. I don't know another group that might be. I don't even want to say worse because I'm not disrespecting their talent or their game. You know, Cooper actually went in and beat a Commanders team on the road. So yeah, you know, I got to give them some props. Maybe this is their coming out party. You know, a propeller game. I like when you said that, Davis. What was that called? A propel game?
I stole that from Chris, but yeah. I mean, look, I don't care if it's Cooper Rush, Danny DeVito, whoever's playing quarterback. If I find a prop bet that I absolutely love, it could be 2 junior high school teams playing, and I'll enjoy the game. I mean, that's the reality. I take the junior high school back, but in the NFL right now, the quality of production is so good. The quality of the games are so good. And the betting markets that we see at FanDuel and that we're looking at everywhere. If I find a bet that I love, I don't care if it's a Super Bowl or Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush. I'm gonna enjoy it the same.
It's the beauty of FanDuel right there.
And honestly,
that's not me being a shield for FanDuel here. That's just the reality of
we're all degenerates at heart.
When I'm watching the game, if I have
the best degenerate is over there.
Yeah,
so
the captain
9-2.
Student of the game.
Stevie, what's your plan for Thursday?
Yeah, we got the fan flying in. Some of them coming in right now. So it's just having people around, you know, and just enjoying the time, enjoying football and seeing the youngins grow up and, you know, just enjoy that food. I got a plate that's like a mountain, and I'm just trying to eat as much as I can before I get back to working out. I'm trying to get right.
Very nice. And you know what? We also have the Black Friday game. So
what a time.
It's the gift that keeps on giving this year. And you know what? Come Monday, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Don't forget, check us out, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Stevie, you know how to get us out.
Hey, look, check this out, y'all. Believing in yourself is enough. Handle business, have fun, and repeat. One love from the broken table, baby.